Welcome to the deep dive. We take stacks of information, find the really important bits, and hand them straight over to you. Today, we're diving into the Sarasota, Florida real estate market, specifically what's been happening year to date.
Yeah, our goal here is to unpack a really thorough market update put together by Michael Graf. He's a local realtor there in Sarasota, knows the area inside out, specializes in listing and selling homes. And he put this report together specifically for his network, friends, family, clients. So we're going to help you, our listener, really get what Michael's seeing on the ground.
Right. And what's so valuable here is how Michael's analysis gives you this a clear, concise picture. It's timely, too. He's really positioning himself as the local expert you can trust. And we'll be looking at everything through his lens, from his perspective, so you get the most relevant insights without any extra noise. Okay, so get ready. We're looking at a market that's, well, rebalancing. It's not collapsing. Michael's insights. They show some surprising stuff, some critical shifts, really defining Sarasota right now. All right, let's get into it. Michael's analysis highlights some major themes. The first one, it sounds pretty significant, but also kind of reassuring. Price correction, not crash. What's that actually mean for someone watching the Sarasota market?
Yeah, that's a key takeaway. It suggests the market's in this important transition period, moving away from that, frenzy we saw a couple of years back. We're definitely seeing inventory starting to stabilize. And yes, prices are softening a bit. Now, that might sound worrying initially, right? People are softening prices and think, oh, no, crash. But Michael's data, it paints a different picture, a more nuanced one. Even though homes might be taking a little longer to sell, get this, transaction volumes actually up 40%. A huge jump.
40%? Wow.
Yeah. So that doesn't scream collapse at all. It's really strong evidence of a market finding its balance again. More deals happening means there's still underlying demand, even as prices adjust. Properties are still moving, just maybe at more realistic numbers now.
That 40% increase really does underline the activity, doesn't it? So not stagnation, just a different kind of market energy. Okay, next up. Michael zeroed in on a very specific price point. He calls it the $475K sweet spot. Why is that number, $475,000, so important?
Well, that $475,000 figure, it really pops out in the data as the clear market equilibrium point. It's like where the action is. It's not just some random number. We're talking 1,610 sales right in that zone. That's dominating the market segment. And the average time to sell.
Just 37 days.
37 days, that's quick. Really quick in today's terms. So connecting that back, for you listening, whether you're thinking of buying or selling, knowing this benchmark, it's critical. If you're buying, it tells you where most inventory is moving fast. If you're selling, it signals the price point with the strongest demand. Get your property priced around there, and you've got the best shot at a swift sale. It's like the market's center of gravity right now.
The Goldilocks zone makes sense. Now, sticking with sellers for a moment, Michael also found something he terms the overpricing penalty. That sounds pretty costly. What's the story there for someone selling their Sarasota home?
Yeah, costly is the right word. This is a really important point for sellers to grasp right now. Michael's data shows this pretty big gap. Active listings, they're averaging around, say, $597,700. But the places actually selling, they're closing much nearer to that $475,000 sweet spot we just talked about.
Okay, so quite a difference.
It's a difference of about $122,700, give or take.
Wow.
And Michael calculates that as, effectively, a 25.83% overpricing penalty. It's substantial. And it's not just about missing out on getting that higher price eventually. It actively costs sellers time, for one, money, too.
How so?
Well, an overpriced home just sits there longer, right? So you're carrying costs, insurance, taxes, mortgage, utilities for all those extra months. And often, you end up having to do price cuts anyway. Sometimes those cuts take you below where you might have sold if you'd priced it right from the start. So yeah, it hits your wallet and your timeline.
That's a huge penalty to risk. And it sounds like it ties right into Michael's next big theme, an inventory explosion. What's happening with the number of homes for sale?
The numbers here are pretty dramatic, actually. Active listings shot up. We're talking an increase of 488%.
488%.
Yeah, up to 3,160 properties currently listed. So for buyers, this is, well, it's an unprecedented choice compared to recent years. Think about it. More options usually means more negotiating power for buyers, maybe a less frantic feeling when you're looking.
Less pressure.
Exactly. But flip that coin for sellers. This inventory boom, it creates real challenges if you don't price competitively. It just reinforces that whole overpricing penalty thing. When buyers have thousands of homes to choose from, why would they overpay for yours? It definitely shifts the power dynamic. Big impact on you, whether you're buying or selling.
Okay, so those numbers paint a really clear, if sometimes stark, picture. Michael's data is eye-opening. But what about the people involved, the homeowners in Sarasota? How are they feeling? His analysis looks at sentiment too, right? The psychology.
Absolutely, and it's quite a mix of emotions, as you expect. Michael notes a kind of prevailing sentiment that leans negative to neutral. You definitely hear about frustration, even some despair, particularly from sellers whose homes have just been sitting and sitting. He captures comments like, I feel like it's never going to sell. You can just feel the exhaustion in that.
Yeah, that sounds tough.
And beyond just the selling process, there's this significant background anxiety. A lot of it is driven by those sharply rising property insurance costs
Hmm.
and, the constant awareness of hurricane risk. That's not just Sarasota, of course. It's a big theme across Florida right now. Homeowners are grappling with much higher monthly costs, uncertainty about future insurance. It colors everything.
It can't be all doom and gloom, though. Michael mentioned some folks are taking a more neutral, maybe pragmatic stance. What's that look like?
That's right. It's not all negative. Michael observes a good number of homeowners taking a very rational wait-and-see approach. Often these are people locked into those amazing low mortgage rates from a few years back, maybe under 4%. They're reluctant to sell, potentially take a perceived loss, and then buy again at today's higher rates. He shared one sentiment that sums it up perfectly. Someone calculated if I sold my house to myself today, it would cost me $100 Harry more, just because of the rate difference. So there's a real financial disincentive to move for some.
The golden handcuffs effect.
Exactly. But there is also a little bit of cautious optimism starting to bubble up. It seems to be fueled by some new state legislation, things like down payment assistance programs and the My Safe Florida Home program, which aims to help with insurance costs through home hardening grants. These offer a potential glimmer of hope, though it's still early days for implementation.
Okay, so what about the actual triggers? Michael's analysis gets into the psychological motivators and barriers. What is pushing people to sell in this market, and what's stopping them?
Yeah, the motivators Michael identifies are often linked to necessity or big life changes. Financial pressure is a key one. It often comes back to those rising insurance premiums and property taxes making ownership just too expensive for some budgets.
Right.
Relocation is another big driver. People still want to move to Sarasota, or maybe move from it for work or family reasons. Its appeal hasn't vanished. And yes, some sellers are still trying to capture some of that equity built up over the last few years. They know prices are historically high, even if off the absolute peak. But their expectations are definitely more tempered now.
And the barriers. What's holding sellers back or making sales difficult?
Probably the biggest barrier Michael sees is just unrealistic price expectations. Sellers get anchored to those peak 2021, 2022 prices in their minds. They might even ignore feedback, you know. Michael mentioned hearing things like, if it's not selling after 200 days, the price is obviously too high. But sellers can be resistant to that reality. It's a tough psychological adjustment.
Stubbornness, maybe? Or hope?
A bit of both, probably.
Yeah.
Then there are those hurricane and insurance risks we talked about. Those definitely deter some buyers, making it harder to sell. Again, those golden handcuffs, the low mortgage rate that makes staying put financially appealing, even if they'd otherwise consider moving.
Okay, so stepping back from individual feelings, Michael's insights also point to broader themes, trends shaping the whole Sarasota market. What's the bigger picture look like, according to his analysis?
Well, the big picture confirms that significant market slowdown and the oversupply issue. Homes sitting longer, around 100 days on average now. That's basically double the average from 2022. And Michael links a lot of this oversupply back to the really high rate of construction during the pandemic boom. A lot of new inventory came online quickly.
Got it.
Insurance and climate risk, still top concerns. Soaring premiums, fears about finding coverage at all. It's a constant worry. Michael does note the My Safe Florida Home program as something that could help mitigate this, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about how effective it will be long term.
Then government action.
Yeah, there's new legislative support, buyer incentives trying to stimulate demand.
Yeah.
It signals the government is trying to step in, which offers some cautious hope.
Yeah.
But there can be delays in these things actually rolling out and having an impact. And underpinning everything are the broader economic pressures. Mortgage rates hovering near, 6.8%, maybe 7%. That really bites into buyer affordability and dampens seller confidence, too.
It definitely sounds like a complex mix, lots of anxiety floating around. But you mentioned Sarasota's inherent appeal earlier. Is there any sense of underlying long-term optimism in Michael's findings, despite the current headwinds?
That's a really good question about the long-term view. And yes, while there's definitely anxiety about the current market, maybe even fears of a bearish turn, Michael emphasizes that Sarasota's fundamental strengths haven't disappeared. Its cultural scene, the arts, the lifestyle, and of course the huge draw of Siesta Key beaches. These things create an enduring desirability. So yes, Michael notes a sustained long-term confidence among many sellers, believing that despite short-term bumps, Sarasota will remain a highly sought-after place. That provides a sort of foundational optimism.
That makes sense. So how have homeowner attitudes really shifted then? Comparing now to the peak frenzy, what's the main difference Michael sees?
The shift is pretty clear, according to Michael's analysis. That kind of post-COVID euphoria, the buying frenzy of 2020 to 2022, that's definitely gone. It's been replaced by a much more realistic, pragmatic sentiment. Sellers are having to adjust to what Michael calls post-hyperbolic conditions. The hype is over.
Post-hyperbolic, I like that.
Yeah, and insurance. It used to be almost a secondary thought in a transaction. Now, post-Hurricane Ian, it's often a primary barrier, a major point of negotiation and concern for both buyers and sellers. It's fundamentally changed the conversation. And finally, those recent legislative moves on housing, they mark a shift from maybe previous policies, and they are fostering that cautious hope we mentioned, or maybe a more stable footing going forward.
Okay, so pulling this all together, based on Michael Graf's deep dive, what does this mean for you, our listener? If you're buying, selling, or just trying to figure out your Sarasota home's value right now, what are the key takeaways from Michael?
Well, Michael's insights point to some really clear actions. If you're a homeowner thinking about selling, job number one is adjusting your listing price. You have to align with current buyer affordability. This isn't a market to test a high price anymore. That overpricing penalty is real.
Right. Price it right from the start.
Exactly. And Michael also strongly advises emphasize any hurricane-resistant features your home has. New roof, impact windows, mention it prominently. That directly tackles those big insurance worries that are front and center for buyers today.
Okay, and for buyers, what's Michael's advice?
For buyers, Michael's analysis says, use that increased inventory to your advantage. You have more choices now, which should mean more leverage in negotiations. Don't be afraid to use it. Also, really understand the new legislative incentives potentially available to you, like those down payment assistance programs. They can make a real difference in what you can afford. And this is where having someone like Michael, as your trusted local expert, is invaluable. He can educate sellers on the market realities and help you, as a buyer, navigate these new opportunities.
We've really dug deep into Michael Graf's comprehensive analysis of the Sarasota real estate market today. We went from the hard data price corrections, inventory surges, all the way to the more nuanced side, the homeowner feelings and psychology.
Yeah, and what we've clearly seen from Michael's insights is a market that is absolutely rebalancing. It's not in free fall, it's rebalancing. We understand pricing strategy is just absolutely critical right now. And homeowner sentiment. It's complex, sure, but it's also adapting to these new realities.
Yeah.
Michael's guidance is really designed to help you make sense of it all and navigate these shifts effectively.
And this rebalancing, it's not just about the numbers on a page, is it? It's really about what value means to you personally, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or you're just living in Sarasota and thinking about your home. So what stands out most to you from Michael's insights today? How might these realities shape your view of your own piece of paradise, or maybe influence what you decide to do next in real estate?
And remember, if you are looking for more specific advice tailored to your own situation, Michael Graf is that local expert, ready to provide those personalized insights.